29.97 frame rate right here. And then in terms of the dimensions, I have it 1920 by 1080. If you're doing a video podcast, it's going to be long form. Most likely you are going to be using, you're going to want to put it up on YouTube, and this is like the perfect dimensions for YouTube. So I just wanted to be sure that you knew that. We're working horizontally today. Then you also have all these multicam views that I have here, and I'm going to show you how you can build those so that the final product looks something like this. So I'm going to play this little clip through just so that you understand what the objective of today's lesson is, so that you can really understand what you're doing and why we're doing everything each step along the way. Okay, so let me play this through for you. I'm going to set some out points so that it replays. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara, and this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A-cam to B-cam to A-cam seamlessly using Adobe Premiere Pro and the multicam editing features. So if you've got this down, then you're good to go for week 2. And if not, be sure to rewatch the tutorial so you can learn how to do it before we move on. All right, thanks so much for watching. Bye. So I'm not sure if you were able to see here, I'm going to expand this and replay it so you can really see how I go from 2 cameras. This is a very simple 2-camera setup that I wanted to share with you guys just to show you exactly how you can use this. So if you were doing a solo podcast like this could be like the trailer episode or a solo episode. You have 2 cameras, you want to switch back and forth so the video is not super boring. The audio kind of sounds the same, but the video is not super boring. This is how you would do it. So let me play that for you once again so you can see the subtle switch between A-cam and B-cam. Hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara, and this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to. So you can see here I have A-cam and B-cam, and this is a dual view. Maybe the dual view doesn't make sense for the solo podcast, but I just wanted you to learn how to do it just in case. Edit from A-cam to B-cam to A-cam seamlessly using Adobe Premiere Pro and the multicam editing features. So if you've got this down, then you're good to go for week 2. And if not, be sure to rewatch the tutorial so you can learn how to do it before we move on. All right, thanks so much for watching. Bye. All right, so that's the gist of what we're doing today. You'll see if you downloaded the project files, which I hope you do, that you'll have all of these sequences set up as well as the footage that I have in here. So let's go into the scratch start sequence. So this is where we are starting from scratch. So I just wanted to share with you that what you can do here is you can just drag these clips. So here I have the Sony camera. Keep existing sequence, and here I have the DJI camera. You'll see that I actually recorded in 4K. This one's in 4K and this one's in 3K. So the sequence is not 4K or 3K, it's 1080p. So you have to make those edits. This is really easy. You just pop on over to Effect Controls. We only have 2 clips, so this is extremely easy, but this one is going to be 75 and this one will be 50. Boom. Now, from here, another thing that I like to do while you have your footage kind of untouched, I'm going to mute everything just so we don't hear that. While you have your footage in here, something that's really cool and I recommend doing at this stage is setting up your guides. So going to View, Show Guides. I also use the shortcut a lot, but there's the guides. And I set this like center and eye line, and you can just do that by clicking and dragging. So I'm just going to just show you exactly how you redo it. And from here, I want to make sure my footage from A-cam and B-cam align to that. You can do this later if you want. I just set this already, and I know that's something I want you guys to remember to do when you use your footage. So from here, all I'm going to do is kind of reposition it. Okay, I think I have a little wiggle room there. Maybe bring it up a bit, and then here, do the same. Oh, and I think the other footage is actually 4K. My bad. I've been shooting in vertical and that's 3K. All right, so I'm just using the position and scale to move these. And if you're like, I can't find position and scale, just make sure you click on it. If you click off, you're not going to see anything. If you click on it, you get all the settings. So be sure to do that. I'm going to zoom in so it's kind of at the same exact spot that I want, because I want the eye line and the center of myself to be kind of the same for both. This one I'm going to zoom back out because now I'm realizing it's a little too close. Something like this. Make sure you catch it at a point where you're actually like looking at the camera when you're switching cameras. So for example, that one, I was looking right at it. So you want to make sure you're actually looking at the camera. Otherwise, you're going to align it to when you're not looking, and that's not really going to make any sense. So that's kind of what it would look like. So I'm going to keep it muted, but I'm not loving it. I think I need to scale this down a touch more. Yeah, like that. Scale it and realign to center. Here we go. So I think that makes a little more sense. Okay, if you want to see how I actually did it for the final result, I actually have it here under start. So here I really fixed that B cam and A cam footage. Another thing that I did, in case you're just wondering how did she do that, and I just set it up for you just to not waste too much time, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but if you go over to flip, type in flip under effects, you can get the vertical and horizontal flip. You want to apply a vertical, nope. I always get which one confused, but it's easy to tell. So you want to play a horizontal flip, and that's because I wanted it to look like it was all coming from the same side, right? The same side of the camera, just slightly tilted, and then you're going to have to reposition. So I should have definitely done that first, but now you know, and you can do it better than I did. So something like that. And I also, of course, if you go into the start camera, you'll see that I matched the kind of color quality for both. I did that using another tool that I'm not going to get into today because we need to get into the multicam editing. So the whole point of that was to say, once you have your clips dragged into your sequence and you have your sequence settings where you want them, so in this case 1080p, you have your cameras looking the way you want, right? And aligned so that when you flip from one to the other, it's not too disorienting. Once you have that set, now it's time to actually synchronize the clips, right? Because if you shot with two different cameras, for example, if I unmute here, the audio for B cam is actually the better audio. Check it out. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara, and this is that's with the one that I'm actually using the mic on. If I play this footage, a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B cam to... That's not the best, right? So in order to get this all set up, all you have to do is, to get it all synced up, you want to lift let me repeat that. You want to click and drag this one of the clips up so it's on another track, and same with the audio. So I'm going to drag the audio down so it's on a separate track. Then you want to click and bring it together. And now you're seeing that I have, I recorded slightly longer on this camera than I did this camera. Now, what you want to make sure is that instead of having these tightly here at the top of the sequence, this doesn't give you any room for Adobe to synchronize your clips. So bring it back, give it some space, then drag and select both clips, right click and hit synchronize, which is right here. And you want to do synchronize point audio track. So one of the audios, if it's the same exact audio, and then hit OK. Now, if I zoom in, you'll see that it automatically synced it. So right now you're going to hear both audios because I just want to share with you how it synced it. It syncs it according to the audio. So let me hit play. Hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara, and this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B cam to A. So there you go. Now you see that it synced the clips audio together. So now I'm going to just trim off the stuff I don't need. So the excess, right? So right here is where I was turning on the other camera. So I don't need that. Delete. Oops. Don't want to delete all of that. Just this part. And then I'm going to drag, and look, the ending is basically the same. So that's good. But I realize here that I have like some dead air. So I'm going to just go ahead and trim that off using the cut. So the cut tool is right here, the razor tool. And then I'm going to just select that and delete. So now I have very tidy, both cameras synchronized so that they're going, the audio is playing exactly. So it's capturing it at the exact same time. I don't know how else to explain synchronization to you. All right, so once you have your clips synced, it's time to make that dual view, right? So we're missing the dual view. We have B cam, A cam, we're missing dual view. So here's what I want you to do to get the dual view. I'm gonna just make some space here. I want you to click and drag and then hit Option so that you make a copy of these and drag it over on the timeline. So now you have the exact thing duplicated, right? From here, what I want you to do is zoom in, pretend you're just working on this, and now we're gonna add that frame that lets us showcase both clips. It's really simple. So right here, you wanna click the rectangle tool, and I'm actually gonna switch workspaces. I'm gonna go Window, Workspace, Captions and Graphics. So this is the graphics workspace. You can see a lot more happening here. And what I want you to do is you wanna select the rectangle tool, and then you wanna make a large rectangle. And I recommend going a little bit beyond the edges. And from here, hit Essential Graphics and make sure that it's centered both vertically and horizontally. All right, once you're there, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit because I feel like I can't see. All right, there we go. Once you're here, we're gonna change the fill color. So I actually have libraries already loaded, but you could also just type in whatever color you want. You just double click, type in the hex code that you want, but I'm gonna use the dropper tool to maybe make this a dark green. Okay, this is for my brand colors and my brand libraries. From there, I'm going to also add another rectangle. You can see here, this is called shape 1. I double clicked it. I'm gonna call it background. I'm gonna do another shape here, rectangle. And I have these guides set up, so maybe I'll use them literally as a guide. And I'm just gonna drag and make a sort of a long square, a bit of a rectangle, but not exactly. And I'm gonna change the color here just so you can see it to black. Great. Now I'm gonna go back to the selection tool. I'm gonna option, I always forget, sometimes it doesn't work here. I'm gonna right click and duplicate and then drag it over. And if you hit shift, it'll stay aligned. And I'm realizing now they're a little big. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna delete this one because I want them to be the same exact shape. So I'm gonna clear that one. And then I'm gonna duplicate the one that I liked, which is this one. I'm gonna call the base one right. The other one, I'm gonna double click and label left. This is just so that you guys can follow along. I'm gonna drag it over and now it's in the left. So now I'm gonna select both of these, right? So now these are both selected and I'm gonna say align to video frame as group and align them vertically and also horizontally. And because I'm cute, I'm gonna add a little bit of a curve to the edges. So this is a 50 curve. You can obviously make it larger. If you want, you can make it 90. I'm gonna just leave it at 50. And now with your cursor, select the left box and hit mask with shape and then invert. And then with the right one, select it, hit mask with shape and then invert. And now you have these two video boxes that you can see. I'm going to hide my guides because they're a little annoying. And now right here, you can see that we have this frame and I'm gonna extend this graphic clip that we have on our sequence all the way so that it's encompassing kind of both clips from the beginning to the end, no matter where I scroll. All right, now, from here, I'm gonna take the B cam, which is this one that we're seeing now. I'm gonna go into effects. I'm gonna look for crop. I'm gonna see it's right here under transform. I'm gonna drag this effect to both the B cam and the A cam. And you'll see why this is handy. Once I have the B cam selected, I'm gonna go to effects and I'm just gonna scooch it over using the position tools. I'm gonna scooch that over. And then the crop tools are right here at the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and just drag and select up until it's at a good spot. And then with the A cam, I'm gonna do the same. So the position, I'm gonna not shift it up vertically. I'm gonna shift it horizontally. And I kind of like it right there. Unfortunately, I don't have to use the crop because the B camera covered up the A camera, but you can see if I remove this graphic, you can kind of see what's going on here. There we go. And then the graphic. Now, this is great. They're playing at the same time. Let me show you. Hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host. That's the horrible audio playing. Let me play the better audio. It's Fabiola Lara, and this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B cam to A cam. So you can see how both of those cameras are synchronized, that we have this dual view. For your podcast, it might make sense to have the host and the guest. For another podcast, it might make sense to have two cameras if you're solo streaming, but you have like front and back for some reason. I don't know. You can have maybe top-down shot if you are working creatively, right? You want to show your desk, you want to show your monitor, that kind of thing. So that's how the different cameras, you could have some options there. From here, I want you to click the sequence and select all of them, right click, and then hit nest. And we're gonna call this dual view because you get both views. I know, I am so clever. And from here, you're gonna scroll out and remember that you have this other, the original 2 camera footage right here, right? And now you have this dual view as well. So what we're gonna do is select dual view and drag it over. And now you have dual view on top of B cam, on top of A cam. So you have all these cameras stacked together and you have this extra audio. You can delete this extra audio because it's the same, right? We don't need to duplicate audio and have it sound like this weird reverb. So now you have it here. Now we've got dual view, A cam and B cam. Now you want to nest all of these together. So this is really simple. And I just want to also remind you before we move on that for dual view, you can make, if you double click this, it'll pull it for you so you can see it. And it's right here. So you can always go back and edit this. So for example, if I go to my libraries, I have a lot of different things that like icons that I use. So I'm gonna select this little coffee cup. I'm gonna bring this in. I'm gonna drag it on top of my graphic. Maybe I'll change the position, change the position of it. Maybe I always want it to be like in this little corner. There we go. And now when we go back to this view, it'll still be there. Okay, so that's the cool thing about nesting is that it's kind of remains editable. Okay, from here, I'm just gonna click save. From here, once you have your dual view set, you have your A cam set, you have your B cam set. I recommend making sure you like kind of the composition of every single one of these shots before you start editing, because then it's gonna get tricky if you try to change it. Just this is the smarter way to work, okay? So from here, this is good to go. I like it. I like how it is. I'm going to select and drag and select all of the clips, right? So this is my entire sequence right now. I'm going to hit right click. I'm going to nest again. I know. Don't worry. I'm going to call this try view, right? The other one was dual view. This one's try view. I'm so organized. Okay. Try view. Now we have all these different views. And, but right now we're only seeing one view, so that's not very fun. So what you need to do is you right click and hit multi-camera enable. Now, once again, you're only seeing one camera, but that's because you haven't toggled the multi-camera view on. So right under here, under your program monitor, should be the toggle multi-camera view. If you're not seeing it, click this button and drag it in. Just click that multi-camera view button and drag it down so you see it in your bar. From here, I'm gonna hit toggle multi-camera view and you get all the cameras. So you have camera 1, 2, and 3. So from here, if you just play this through, you can select 1, 2, or 3 on your keyboard and start selecting the cameras. So let me play this so we can get going. Hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara, and this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B cam to A cam seamlessly using Adobe Premiere Pro and the multicam editing features. So if you've got this down, then you're good to go for week 2. And if not, be sure to rewatch the tutorial so you can learn how to do it before we move on. All right, thanks so much for watching. Bye. All right, so that's all I did. I hit 1, 2, and 3 on my keyboard and it automatically cut up this sequence so that you can just jump in between things. So once it's all cut up in your sequence, what you want to do is replay it and make sure that you're cutting from camera to camera where you want it to. So let's play this through. So that part I don't even need. So just so that you guys learn, right? I left a little bit too long of an intro. I'm going to take my razor tool and I'm just going to cut down all of this. And now I'm going to select it and delete, right click, ripple, delete. And now we're starting at a better spot. Hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara. So I'm switching cameras here just to keep it interesting. And this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B. So you can see here that I actually jumped to the wrong cameras, right? So let me show you how to edit from. So here I need to be in A cam. So what you can do is just select a different camera. So I still have the multi-view on. So I'm gonna go to 1. A cam to, so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B cam to A cam seamlessly. And then once you hit pause, when you stop kind of playing your sequence, it should update. How to edit from A cam to B cam to A cam. And if you mess up still, right? So I kind of still messed up right here. Or let me just say I want to change one. I didn't really mess up here. You can just right click multi-camera and switch the camera. So I can switch any one of these sections to any other camera. So it's pretty easy once you do it. And then when you're done editing the cameras, you can deselect this toggle multi-camera view and you'll just see the plain sequence. So right here, hey everyone, welcome to Draws in Spanish. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara, and this is actually just a test clip so that you can learn how to edit from A cam to B cam to A cam, boom, seamlessly using Adobe Premiere Pro and the multicam editing features. So that's how it works, and it's really simple. And from here, if you go over to text, as a little bonus, you can actually start editing using the auto transcript tools. For example, right here, I have this pause. I'm just gonna say delete ripple, and it deletes it across all of the different cameras. So that's why I suggest set up your cameras first, then set up the actual editing, because otherwise you're going to have to edit per camera, and that's just creating a lot of work that you don't need to do. So yeah, and then from here you can just start editing. It's really easy, and the auto transcription tools make it even easier. So I highly recommend using both the multicam and also the auto transcription tools together to speed up your podcast editing workflow, because I know from personal experience that it can be a lot. And once you are done with that, just to review real quick, if you go into the project, you'll see all of your sequences, and all of the nested sequences end up showing up here too. So typically I like to just grab those and put them back where they belong in the sequences folder. Or if you wanted to, you could create an extra little bin that houses your nested sequences, so you can be even more organized, so you can drop them into there. So that's all up to you. You have the project files, you know, you can do whatever you want with them now. And yeah, I hope that was extremely useful. If you have any questions about multicam editing, be sure to send them my way, drop them in the comments. I see that everyone in the chat had a nice time following along. I hope you guys learned so much. Let's see what else we have here. Pop on over. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I had a great time sharing how to use these multicam editing features. Be sure to download the project files. You can actually find the project files over at behance.net/challenge/video, so you can practice before next week's lesson. So next week, I'll be sharing how you can audio edit and mix your video podcast in Premiere so that it sounds clear and crisp for your listeners, which is honestly a really big deal when it comes to podcasting. I know we're talking about video podcasting, but the number one thing here is audio. And what I shared with you today is just gonna help you get through the edit a lot faster. All right, in the meantime, if you have any lingering questions, DM me over on Instagram at FabiolitaDraws, and don't go anywhere, because up next, learn how to create looping textures in After Effects like a total pro with Evan Abrams. He's awesome, so you don't want to miss his stream. All right, if you have any other questions, send them my way. And until then, thank you so much, everyone. Bye.